Welcome back, everybody, to Two Deans and No Waiting. My name is Dean. The date is June 27th, 2025. And here with me again is Kaz. Thank you for joining me.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Crazy things have happened the last 7 days. I could say it's probably the most interesting time I've ever lived in. We're almost on the brink of civil unrest in Los Angeles, California, to possible World War III and Armageddon, all in 10 days? As the Zionists turn, right? Wow. I mean, where do I start? I want to start out by saying what you just seen for our listeners was one big psyop, was one big mindfuck. Although I do believe Trump did de-escalate the situation by dropping bombs on mountains, no casualties. What did he bomb? I don't know. He was listening to his intelligence agencies. Are they linked to Israel too? Are they Mossad agents? I don't know. But I do know that did de-escalate. I mean, you think about it. This is all one big psyop. If you're at war with a country, you're going to call them on the phone and say, hey, we're getting ready to bomb you. And that's what they did. America warned Iran. So maybe they had enough time to move whatever they had. I don't know. And not even 24 hours later, Iran calls Qatar and says, we bomb you next. And then they start dropping bombs. And of course, blow them up out of the sky. That was all one big show. Although this kind of does expose Israel, he actually went to war without going to war, which is kind of a good move. And of course, the Zionists are mad. To me, this exposes who's pro-Israel and who's pro-America. I don't believe Trump himself really wants regime change, like the neocons and the Zionists who are linked straight to Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu, which would totally destabilize the Middle East even more, which is something they want so Israel can take over the Middle East. There's a rift going on in the MAGA community between the anti-war people and kind of the people that are pro. There ain't too many pro-Israel people unless it's establishment I see. But what scares me is this isn't over by any means. This ceasefire, not even 24 hours after the ceasefire, and Israel starts bombing Iran. Trump got on, I don't know, was that show? He got on and started yelling at him. What are you guys doing? Although I don't put it past them. What scares me is I know it's going to be hard for them to sell this war, and they're going to commit a false flag, maybe a chemical biological attack, a dirty bomb. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. What do you think, Kaz?
I think you're spot on. This is all just, smoke and mirrors, and it's just trying to get the people on board for a big war against Iran. It's no different than when we went to war with Iraq right after 9/11. It's all based on fear. It's all based on, we got to get the people together. The government, we have the solution. Listen to us. Listen to what we say, because we know what we're doing is the right thing to do. And it's all based on fear. It's fear driven. That's basically what it is.
And you know what? The same people that wrote you the playbook in Iraq are the same people writing the playbook today. Like I talked last week when the Colonel was on our show, the PNAC, the Project Century for a New America, was written in 2000. It talks about 9/11 before 9/11, like a Pearl Harbor event. That's what scares me is they're do another one now, because I'm telling you, the mood of the people in this country is not war. I can tell you. We don't want war after war after war, so the Federal Reserves can print more money and we pay for it through taxation without representation. People are cheering on war. Well, okay, you're going to cheer for it. You won't be able to retire because you're going to be paying for these endless wars. The only making money are the profiteers of war, the bank, and I'm sure the Zionists who are making money off of arms deals, and we're paying for it, which is really, and it's not good for the economy. Now, I understand for the last, 20 years of the United States being into the Middle East, of course, doing what the Zionists want. You know how much money they've spent? $8 trillion. Can you imagine how much money this war is going to cost? And this is not a cakewalk. I hope they don't want a regime change, but there are people that want a regime change, which would destroy our economy. It would totally destroy the dollar, which is something they want. What is the debt at now? What, 38 trillion. This would make it
Yeah.
50. I'm telling you, they would spend probably another $20 trillion on $10 trillion on this war. We can't afford it.
Well,
You know,
speaking about, spending more money on the war, NATO and Donald Trump just increased the spending for military expenses with the European countries. So there's more money right there. I mean, it's just more and more and more and more and more.
and
And
we're
it's all based off of fear. Like I said, every war that we've been in since 2011, you can even go back to World War II. The people don't want war. The majority of the people don't want war.
and that's
And
what's scary. And
it's
that's
just
what's
like,
scary is they're
go
going
ahead.
to false flag.
Yeah. And so
like worse than 9/11. I'm just preparing now, man. Be ready.
and just like you had said before, we've talked about it before. The MAGA people are split. Some of them do want this war, some of them do not. So, how do you get everybody on board? Just like you said, you do a false flag and then you point the finger at somebody else.
And you're right about NATO. NATO's an old Cold War relic that needs to go away. You know who else is an old relic that needs to go away? People like Bill O'Reilly. Listening to this guy the other day, oh my God! Last time I heard them lies was my wedding night. This guy was just one lie after another. Who are you? Who's going to listen to Bill O'Reilly? I'm old enough to remember. If you're young and wet behind the ears, you're not going to know. But I remember back in 2003 when they were talking about weapons of mass destruction. Oh, Bill O'Reilly was like, "Oh, they're in there. We got to get them and take them out. We got to be gung ho about this war." Wrong. He was also wrong about, if you take Saddam Hussein out of the Middle East, it's going to stabilize the Middle East. Wrong. He talked about the Patriot. I remember people used to call him on his radio show, on his phone. It's unpatriotic. It is unpatriotic. Oh, no, you have nothing to worry about. They're not going to spy on the American people. They're only spying on terrorists. Wrong. Look at the government surveillance grid they created, for crying out loud. They're listening to our conversation now, except now it's legal. Before it was illegal. You used to have to get a court order. Now you don't need it. No more Miranda rights. They already created this Zio-fascist police state. Bill O'Reilly has been wrong from day one. Why the fuck am I going to listen to you now, buddy? Oh, we need a regime change. He's 0 for 3. Regime change will destroy the country. And that tells me Bill O'Reilly is pro-Israel, not pro-America.
Right. And it's even worse now with AI, and companies that are tied to Peter Thiel, like Palantir. I mean, it's just getting out of control. The surveillance and all the listening and going through your files, going through your emails, going through your text messages. I mean, they're going through everything. They are going through everything, and no one bats an eye anymore. Nobody.
And that all started through the Patriot Act, which was something. And like I said, he's an old relic. Bill O'Reilly, Fox News, Hannity, Mark Levine. Who else is pro-Israel? It's so disgusting. You guys should pack up, go to Tel Aviv, and pay taxes there. I mean, you're not pro-America. I'm sick and tired of paying for these wars, working overtime, and having nothing left else to show for it because they keep printing money and devaluating the currency. Hey, here's an idea. If you actually put half of that money you do into the military-industrial complex and the other half you do funding terrorists, maybe we could fix the economy by fixing infrastructure. And you know what? And strengthening the dollar by quit printing it. Don't print as much. To strengthen it, to back it with something solid, as opposed to creating this fiat currency and invading countries that are tired and investing in the dollar. All the stuff that has happened to this country is self-inflicted. Iran's not doing it. Russia's not doing it. It's the people here that are sold out by special interests and Zionist countries like Israel that want to send their money there instead of investing here. That's logical.
It's the same reason why it's almost the same reason why nobody wants to join the military anymore, because the American people are just tired. They're sick and tired of it.
Of course. I mean, I've been anti-war for a long time, for 30 years, since the 90s. Look, when you go back to 1990, I even talked about this. Benjamin Netanyahu brought up all this stuff 30, 40 years ago. It's the same playbook. How he talked. I mean, that was his idea. You know, that was the Jewish idea, was to get America into the Middle East. You know how they suckered Saddam into the Persian Gulf, right? They were
Yes.
stealing oil from Saddam. The Kuwaitis were. Saddam was a CIA asset. Okay, that was the first step towards a war in Iran. This has been a sophisticated plan that the neocons have been strategically doing for years. And the final war is Iran. It's not over. Ever since they set up green zones in the Middle East, how much money did that cost?
Oh,
Millions,
a lot.
billions. We're paying for it. And then all
And
these
it's the same.
Arab Spring was all CIA Mossad, taking out Libya, Egypt, Somalia, Sudan, Afghanistan. It seems wherever the West and Israel goes, Al Qaeda grows, because we take one dictator out and we put Al Qaeda in. So Syria, like I told Dean months ago, what's going to happen? Who's backing the terrorists? Israel and the United States. They backed the terrorists against Assad. They took Assad out. Now who's in charge? Well, you got terrorists in charge of Syria. And who are they killing? Christians. This is what they want to do in Iran. They Iran into Syria. They want to Syria, or I'm sorry, they want to turn Iran into Syria by destabilizing Iran, by taking out the mullahs, putting in even more radical Islamists who they can control, who are the ISIS, who are going to start killing. This is what the Zionists want. Okay, it's a plan. They don't want to build. They want to destroy nations. What do you think?
Oh, I absolutely agree. It's just, just like you said, wherever the CIA goes, the terrorists show up after. There always seems to be terrorists somewhere. There always seems to be, something going on, and it's always related with the CIA. The CIA by far is a destructive group of people, and no matter what you do, you can't get around it, because they put the CIA in with everything. And it's surprising how ISIS and Al Qaeda, and they just seem to show up right at the right time, exactly in the right place, and then all of a sudden the United States is like, well, we have the solution for that. Well, how did they get there to begin with? Well, you got to look at the CIA, and the CIA is the world's largest terrorist group that there is. Bottom line.
Oh, the CIA and Mossad and British intelligence. They were the ones that created the Mujahideen in Afghanistan. And how ironic, it was contained in Afghanistan, but now since all these synthetic revolutions and all these wars by proxy and these wars by conventional wars America and Israel's been a part of, Al Qaeda now has spread. Islamo terrorism has spread from Afghanistan to almost the Mediterranean. That's not an accident, and it's not Iran doing it. See, people have to wake up. They're trying to tell you the Detroit Lions or the Chicago Bears. It's not true. I know what's going on. Okay, the mullahs. Okay, they are Shiite. The Wahhabi terrorists. Okay, are Sunni. There's differences between the two. Okay, and I know England started all that divide and conquer back in the late 1800s and the early 1900s, when they created the Zionist state of Israel to divide up the Muslims the way they divide us up here. That's what globalists do, man. The way we've been balkanized, they're doing it to the Middle East. We all have one common enemy. It's the same. It's the globalists, and it's controlled by the elitists. So to go back what I was saying, people have to wake up. Iran is not sponsoring terrorism. They're not sponsoring their enemy. Okay, Gaddafi was fighting against the terrorist. Saddam Hussein was fighting against the terrorist. Okay, Assad was fighting against the terrorist. So they're twisting it. Okay, they were enemy of the terrorist. The West and Israel is backing the terrorist, and they're using them as a proxy to take out people they want to take out. And that's what's happened the last 50 years, I just explained to you. This is something you won't learn on CNN for 150 years. Right?
Yes, that's true. Absolutely. I mean, the mainstream is just nothing but lies. It's lies, 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 and it's deception. Just like when I tell people, I ask them, Tell me what country Iran has invaded in the last 100 years. What
Exactly.
war has Iran started in the last 100 years? And nobody can give me an answer.
Exactly, because they're listening to people like Hannity and CNN. CNN wants to tell the American people, well, you know, Donald Trump didn't bomb nuclear facility. Look, maybe he didn't. For all I know, Iran probably doesn't even have nuclear weapons. Why am I going to listen to them?
Possible.
They're 2 days away from making the bomb. How
You
many
know
times
who didn't have bombs?
they've been trying to make a bomb for 50 fucking years? You don't think they have the capability of doing it? They're allies with Russia. Russia's got the capability. You don't think that? Look, I don't know whether they do or they don't, but I do know one thing. Whatever the mainstream media tells me, I'm not going to fucking listen. They already blew their opportunity. Okay, they've lied a dozen times. You know, they've lied a million times. I'm not going to listen to them. And everything is
Well,
linked to New York, London, and Tel Aviv. That's the
right.
new world order right there in a handbasket.
Well, it's just like with Iraq and the weapons of mass destruction. You know, they couldn't find them because they didn't have them. They never had them.
Yeah, it
But
was
look
all
what we did
bullshit.
in Iraq.
Total lies, right? That
Yes.
was. And look where we're at today. I'm telling you, this is not over. It didn't even take Israel, what, 24 hours to break this fire? What scares me is they want to change the opinion of the people, because like you said, the majority of the people in this country don't want a war. How do you change that? False flag. Israel
Yeah.
knows all about a false flag. What scares me, and I've heard sources talk about a possible chemical biological attack. This is what they've been getting ready for 5 years. Is this that false flag? Have you heard anything about that, Kaz?
Well, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. I mean, that's how we go to war because the people don't want it. Look at World War II. You know, the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and that's all they teach is like one day Japan woke up and said we're gonna bomb Pearl Harbor,
I
and
know it's
and
something it's something we're not taught in history class. I get it, right? And I'm telling you, man, and it's funny how I was reading this article, which I already knew. Ukraine has ties to Israel. It all roads lead to Israel. Looks like one of the most richest oligarchs in the world, who is a Ukrainian Jew, who actually, this is how bad this guy is. The United States government wants to arrest him. I mean, you got to, and he's seeking asylum, I guess, in Israel. He's hiding because there's like a warrant out for his arrest. He's a bankster. His name is Igor Kolomoisky. This guy put Zelensky in power. And, they also put the Azov Battalion that has links to Nazis that go back to World War II. Like I said on our show before, Hitler used Western Ukraine to invade Russia. And basically, you have Jews running Nazis in Ukraine. That's how deep the tunnel gets. That's how deep the rabbit hole gets, right? Isn't that
oh,
crazy?
absolutely,
Just
yes,
like
that's
we had
absolutely
the
yes.
colonel on last week, and he talked about things about the Civil War we didn't know about. Well, do a lot of people know that Hitler had 30,000 Jews in his army? I mean, really? What was this about? There's things that they don't tell you. Goes back to what you were saying, right? They bombed Pearl Harbor. Well, why did they bomb Pearl Harbor? They don't tell you about the oil and gas embargo. It's
Right.
just things like that. So I just want to warn the American people that this war is not over, man. This war, and then what worries me, if Trump is legit, let's say, whatever, he's legit and he doesn't want a regime change. The only thing that could change that right now and change public opinion would be a false flag. And it would make 9/11 look like a church picnic. And that's what scares me. And that's where we're at right now.
Right. That's going to be the unfortunate thing is because that's how we get more people on board to go into these countries and fight because they're not going to do it on their own. People are sick and tired of all of this money going to endless wars. You look at the U.S. military and the recruitment numbers are at an all-time low. No one is going into the U.S. military. No one is signing up for the U.S. military. It is absolutely at a very, very low number for people who are willing and wanting to go and fight in these illegal wars that just make money for the rich.
And that's a problem now that the government is having, is they know if, you know, they do start a big war, which they already have, something bigger, another event that's going to change the world as we know it, another false flag, that they're worried that they're probably trying to reinstate the draft. I've heard that many times.
Yeah.
And because they know.
I believe it. They're going to have to. They're going to have to.
Oh my goodness. Well, look, man, Americans have woken up to the fact that these wars are a racket. They always fight wars, whether it's by proxy with your tax dollars or it's a conventional war with our troops. But what they don't tell you is what the war is fought over. They never tell you what it's fought over. They tell you nothing but lies and propaganda. It has nothing to do with terrorism. It has nothing to do with nuclear bombs. There's other agendas. Okay, they can't keep using the same fucking playbook, and they think Americans are that fucking stupid. Most of us have woken up. I mean, most of us, like you and I, have been woken up for 20, 25 years. You know, and I'm just finally getting out there to voice my opinion because I'm sick of the bullshit. I want to tell the American people to watch out. There's going to be a false flag. It could be a chemical, biological. The government's getting ready for something. They're getting ready for something. I hope I'm wrong. It seems like, you know, in the news cycle this week has gotten a little slow, right? I mean, every week it's something new. Who knows what we'll be talking about next week? Alien invasion? I don't know.
I mean, the war has slowed down a little bit between Israel and Iran. It has slowed down a little bit, but when it gets slow is when the time when you're really going to start paying attention, because that means that they're setting something up for a bigger event to get more people riled up again and again, looking at the situation where we need to do something because the government obviously has the solution. So, and that's where
Right.
people get lost.
Or order out of chaos. Now I heard that the reason why both sides kind of wanted a ceasefire was to regroup. I've heard many things and been reading a lot of things, and I just try to put things in perspective and use my own brain. I don't want CNN or anybody else to tell me what they think because that's all propaganda. From what I see, maybe it's a little true that I know Tel Aviv was bombarded. That Golden Dome, is it called the Golden Dome, right? Right?
Yes.
The Golden Dome is like a golden shower. it's you call it a golden shower because it ain't working. No, it works just as much as an unemployed person. It's not working. That's bullshit. And Tel Aviv
it's not working as nearly
was
as well
pretty
as they hoped
blasted.
it would.
They were surprised and they were set back. And both sides were, you know, affected pretty bad. But Israel was really surprised. And now they know for sure that they need Big Brother to go in there for them.
Right.
That's how I feel. But
well, that's another question, though. Do the Americans have the bunker buster bombs that they're going to need to get to these nuclear plants that are buried deep within the earth? So Iran is making these nuclear weapons. Does the United States have the bombs that can penetrate deep enough to make a difference?
listen, I don't know anymore. I don't know what to expect. The whole galaxy's a simulation. The whole world's a simulation right now. You know what? At this point, I don't know what to believe. I try to put things in perspective. I don't think they really attacked much. I believe that they, like I said, this is my belief. It was a psyop. I know that 100% sure. Because you don't tell another country when we're going to invade you. And you want them to get ready because it's for show. It seemed like everybody wanted to save face. Hey, whatever that happened, it de-escalated. I give Trump that. He kind of went to war without going to war. It was a mind fuck. Now, what did he hit? I don't know. He could have hit Alexander the Great's tomb for all I know. I don't know what he hit. Did he hit a site? Do the Iranians have nukes? Do you know for sure they have nukes? Who's telling us this? The same people that got us into Iraq?
Mr. Netanyahu is saying that
I'll tell
Iran,
you
for the
the
last
history.
30 years, Iran is getting ready to build a nuke.
Yeah, they've been saying that for 150 years. So, like I said, we don't know what to believe. But I do know one thing. I got my hero of the week. I know I always have asshole of the week, but my hero of the week is Representative Massey from the great state of Kentucky, who came out and was told, and he's a MAGA guy, and he came out and was totally against this. And he's right, it was unconstitutional, even though whatever he bombed over there, I
Yeah.
don't know what the bomb, but he was right. But then again, when was the last time we got constitutional approval to, or I'm sorry, the Congress to vote on a war? Was it 1941?
Right.
World War II? When was the last time Congress voted for a war? Do you know?
Well, speaking of, did you hear that Trump he may rename the Department of Defense back to what it was originally called when America first had gotten going? It was called the Department of War. Now, Trump may change that name back from the Department of Defense, which I find interesting. Is that not some kind of underlying suspicion where we're changing this to what it used to be and we're flat out calling it war? That's interesting.
Oh, that's all it is, isn't it? I mean,
It
but my
is.
question was, when was the last time Congress voted for a war? Every single war we've had post World War II is illegal. You know, so if
Yeah, it's something.
you know, the people that voted for Bill Clinton make me nauseated. Bill Clinton illegally bombed Serbia for 60 fucking days. They got no right to say anything. If Clinton comes out and says something, I'll be like, are you serious? He legally bombed Serbia for 60 days.
Well, everything's a military action these days. Just like you're saying, there are no more wars.
Okay, where was the authorization to go to war for that? There hasn't
Well, when
been.
it's a military, when it's a military action, apparently they don't need to get approval.
Look, our government's illegitimate. It shows it. We don't use the Constitution. We might as well give it to another country. You know? I mean, yeah, look where we're at. I mean, I think, you know, and 9/11, of course, was an inside job. Whether you believe it was Mossad, CIA, a combination of both. I was just watching a video today that showed that there were clearly bombs that went off before and even after so I hear one plane hit, the other plane didn't hit. People said there were no planes that hit, bombs went off. So who knows what to believe? I do believe that was an inside job. And the reason why they did that, they wrote it in the Project Century for a New America, was to go to war with Iran. That's the last phase of what they want. Of course, to create the government control grid, the police state, the spying, the wiretapping. Look what they've done since then. All these draconian laws. That's not an accident. And look, Big Brother's
Right,
here.
absolutely.
If people don't see that, then you're fucking stupid.
Well, it's just like Peter Thiel in the company Palantir. I mean, it's all about AI. AI is taking over. AI control. Everything is AI driven. Palantir is all about surveillance and going through your messages, going through your emails, listening to your phone calls. You know, making sure that you're not a terrorist. You know, you're a U.S. citizen, but you can't get on an airplane unless you have a passport. From going from one state to the next, you need a passport just to fly in the United States, which is insane. But you just look at what's going on between AI, Palantir, Peter Thiel, all the people on Trump's cabinet, and all of his advisory board. All of these people are all in favor of this control.
And didn't you also send me a video? And it's unfortunate because I really like Bobby Kennedy Jr. And you brought up a good point, how he spoke and talked about everybody needs that RFID chip or that bracelet to track you and monitor you. This is something he's pushing.
Yes, in the next 4 years, yes.
I mean, come on.
Yes.
That's the
He
government.
wants every single American to have a medical type of apparatus either in their pocket or on their wrist or something like that, so it can monitor your health. And again, it's for your own good.
just like the vaccine, you know,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's where we're at right now. I mean, you know, pick your poison. Democrats or Republicans? Are you serious? It's a one party system. You haven't figured that out yet?
Yeah.
I got some oceanfront property for you in Iowa. I want you to look at, man. Crazy, crazy. So, I mean, look,
Yeah,
I believe, Kaz, that this isn't over. Something is going to happen. From what sources are saying now, and look this up, and I want to warn people, there's some type of imminent, supposedly, threat, chemical, biological, by July 4th. Is this another mind fuck? I usually don't go by dates, but you know, this is something that Israel really wants to totally have an excuse to regime change Iran, and it's playing Russian roulette.
right. Just wait till the CIA gets in there, and then you'll really see regime change.
Oh yeah, right. CIA, Mossad, they're going to put in Al Qaeda. So now you'll have Al Qaeda from one end of the Middle East to the other, and this is what they want. You know, total war, total destabilization. It's not to stabilize; it's to destabilize. That's what they want.
Yeah.
Ask me when they say Iran sponsors terrorism. Like you said, when was the last country in Iran invaded? 500 years ago, 300 years ago?
Yeah.
Right. How many countries have we invaded? We've been at war, and Dean and I always talk about it. Every war since World War II, I'm sorry, every decade since World War II, we've been a part of a war. Perpetual war. You know?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, I mean,
so the American people need to be awake. They need to be aware. Keep your eyes and ears open. Pay attention to what's going on.
Right, right. Yeah. So, yeah. This is why I wanted to have a emergency podcast, because I think in the next few weeks you could see some they declaring peace. Are you serious? That's not happened. Even if Trump is legit and he wants that, that's not happening. They're not going to declare. How are they going to declare peace?
No.
They can't make money off peace. A piece of this, a piece of that. Yeah. Come on. Well, yeah, unless you have something else to talk about.
That's
I want to have a quick podcast to get the message out there that prepare for something, because shit's going to hit the fan again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You got to get ready. That's all I can say. Get ready.
Get ready.
It's coming like a freight train.
Yeah, it's a coming. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. We'll be back. Maybe, who knows, next few days. I'm telling you, keep your eyes on the prize. Don't trust the government, and don't believe the bullshit. I can tell you, because your tax dollars are being funded to support all these wars and to support the terrorists. And don't believe the Zionists either. Okay. Thank you for joining.